the shocking audio tapes accessed by News 18. While News 18 cannot independently verify these audio clips, a total of 3 phone calls spanning over 180 seconds unravel an alleged bid to cover up the heinous rape and murder of Abhay. First, the hospital's assistant superintendent claims that the victim was unwell. Then he lies that she has been moved to the general ward and eventually claims that she has committed suicide. Hospital authorities have tried to deflect the blame of a cover-up. They say the lies were meant to soften the blow. It is clear from both the audio clips that the doctor's parents repeatedly insisted on knowing about Abhay's condition. But the authorities kept dodging their questions by saying only a doctor can tell them about the whole scenario. Moreover, they throw light on the parents' statement that the hospital authorities informed them how their daughters has died of suicide and how they did not let them see her body for at least 3 hours after they reached the hospital. Now that Abhay's parents are vindicated, the question we are asking, is this a cover-up bid on record? First up, let's also look at the sensational audio tapes accessed by CNN News 18 between our authorities and Abhay's parents on 9th of August. In 3 back-to-back phone calls, we see a clear attempt to mislead Abhay's parents on 9th of August. The RG hospital lied to the parents saying she is not well. That was the first lie. The RG hospital authorities also said in the phone call that she was not in a very good condition, and that the assistant superintendent in fact kept on asking the parents to come quickly so that the doctors could inform them about their daughter's condition. The authorities asked the parents to meet the chest medicine head of department who could give more clarity on her condition. The assistant superintendent also claimed that she was shifted to the emergency ward, another lie that was peddled by the hospital staff when she was actually raped and murdered brutally. And the biggest cover-up bid was when the hospital told Abhay's parents that their daughter had died of suicide and that they must come quickly. We at CNN News 18 have already shown you evidence of the corruption and complicity associated with the RG College authorities and the former principal Sandeep Ghosh. Now the audio tapes prove a deliberate bid to mislead Abhay's parents, and that has also been proven through these audio clips. There's an attempt to cover up which has been proven. Suicide lies to shield the offence has also been proven. Hospital's deceit and complicity has been proven. And West Bengal's BJP chief now in the latest move has written to the governor complaining against Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, issuing a threat against the Bharatiya Janata Party yesterday. In a letter to the governor, Shikanta Majumdar has written that a blatant endorsement of revenge politics has been done by the Bengal Chief Minister. Inflammatory remarks from highest office have been passed. Not the voice of a person in a constitutional position. That's what Shikanta Majumdar shot in that letter. And that a speech is a rhetoric of anti-nationalism. This is an attempt to threaten, incite violence and sow hatred. That's what Shikanta Majumdar has gone on to claim in that letter to the governor. She does not merit holding such an important office. He also says that the Chief Minister must resign immediately. The Chief Minister's stance jeopardizes safety of West Bengal citizens, and that is why on the Kolkata doctor's death and rape case, as far as the clincher of the RG case is concerned, the question we are asking today, is the cover-up bid now on record, considering those phone calls have been accessed as well?
ওনার অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ। আপনি যতটা তাড়াতাড়ি পারবেন চলে আসুন। আমরা এমার্জেন্সিতে নিয়ে এসেছি, আপনারা আসুন, এসে যোগাযোগ করুন। হ্যাঁ শুনুন, আপনাকে তখন বারবার বলছিলাম, ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে আপনার মেয়ে উনি সুসাইড করেছেন হয়তো, বা কিছু মারা গেছেন।
बंगाल में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेन करने के लिए जो करना चाहिए आप करिए, बंगाल की जनता बहुत आस से आपकी तरफ देख रहा है। दिल्ली जा रहे हैं गवर्नर साहब, आज दिल्ली जा रहे हैं।
All right, and with that, let me now introduce our esteemed panelists. I'm joined in by Dr. Shashi Panja, who is the Minister for Women and Child Development and Social Welfare with the government of West Bengal. I'm also joined in by Ms. Shatrupa, who is a spokesperson for Bengal BJP. Dr. Panja, thank you for joining in. If I could begin with you. First, the lie that the victim's severely ill, then she's been moved to the emergency ward and eventually calling it suicide. Does this not indicate an alleged cover-up by hospital authorities, and what does it speak of the government when we know that the portfolios of health and home directly report to the Chief Minister?
Good evening. Whoever has uttered these statements, you know, and the 3 phone calls has to take responsibility for the statements that they have, or the conversation they have had with the parents. This is one. The procedural lapses which are being mentioned, I think the Supreme Court is hearing this case, and Supreme Court, as you know, has taken suo motu cognizance, and both stakeholders, besides the other organizations of doctors, are presenting their case in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court is, CBI is doing the investigation, and let CBI mention all the lapses which have taken. They have to be accountable, and in fact, for that matter, during the course of the investigation which CBI is also doing over the past almost 12-14 days, the former principal has been called. There's been interrogation, not only him, the others relevant to this investigation are being called. So they have questions to answer, and we are waiting for these answers to be made public again by the CBI's submission in court on 5th of September.
Dr. Panja, you do agree that there have been severe glaring lapses on part of the hospital authorities, considering the HOD of chest medicine at the Arjikar Medical College first stated that the phone call that went to the parents of Abhaya was from the deputy superintendent and not the assistant superintendent, whereas in reality it was the assistant superintendent. This is just the beginning that I am highlighting to you right now.
Ma'am, really, it will be difficult for me to say, to substantiate either of them, because obviously we were not there, or we are not witness to all that, and I think this all comes within the purview of the case diaries, or whatever the CBI, the details that CBI is picking up, and the interrogation that they are doing. So I think we need to reserve and wait for them to come out with the findings and submit that in court. That is very important. It is difficult for you and me to come to any conclusions, because I'll tell you why. There have been so many conclusions already on this case. It is very unfortunate. So I think details need to be known, and we are with the grieving parents. We are also in grief, and we will take nothing. We will not do anything to defend such kind of crime, and we will not try to cover up at all.
Doctor, thank you, but do you not think that this is vile enough and extremely insensitive? Shatrupa, I'd like to bring you in on this aspect. While we do understand that the matter is sub judice, but the fact of the matter, all those audio clips go on to indicate the kind of insensitivity that has been exercised by the hospital authorities. Don't you think that this was not to soften the blow on the parents? It's rather ended up coming across as extremely insensitive and dishonest.
Akanksha, I really say this with a very heavy heart, that we stand vindicated. We, as in not only BJP, all the junior doctors who were our friends, who were our colleagues, they've been constantly saying these very things, that when the call went from the hospital authorities, whoever it was, and I would like to thank Dr. Shashi Panja for at least not insensitively dismissing it as AI. You know, that is what the Chief Minister is constantly doing. Everything, everywhere around is AI. Now, I don't know, again, I agree with Dr. Panja, that we don't know the authenticity of the tapes, and it is of the recording. and it is entirely up to CBI to verify it. But what I've heard constantly, I mean, on your channel, and since it's being circulated everywhere, one thing is very evident: whoever has called, it is the complete lack of basic sensitivity. Whoever called, you're calling up the parents of a person who has died, maybe your colleague, maybe you're somebody who's junior, maybe your friend. I mean, we don't even call up a stranger and talk about somebody's death in this kind of a tone. So yes, here again I would say that everything points towards Arjikar. And again, why we are blaming Mamata Banerjee is because she should have known. I'm not saying that she should have known about this death and the murder and the rape, but this girl, it is not, it's not an act of lust which just happened on some field and the body was hidden. She was on duty. This girl was a doctor in a government hospital on duty during in the safest possible place for a working woman. She was in the hospital, a government hospital, which is supposed to be run by the health ministry. So the health minister may not know the details, fine. But the fact that Dr. Shondit Ghosh, I mean, he's apparently no longer a doctor now, but the fact that he was to be blamed, not this time, even previously, I think you have already got the footage of how he was chased out by students. And Mamata Banerjee was in Spain then. The moment she came back, she again reinstated him. So there were warnings which the Chief Minister chose to ignore. You have to understand that this is not one incident which has happened in the 13 years. No, there has been a long series of build-up. Basic CCTV cameras were not there. As a woman Chief Minister, she should have at least ensured that there are so many women doctors. I mean, from Dr. Kadambini Devi, the first doctor that West Bengal gave to the rest of the world. We should have ensured better working facilities in government hospitals.
I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that. No, but let me just stick to Abhaya's case right now. And Dr. Panja, when you talk about from the moment the information that the victim is no more, when it was being disseminated to the parents, to the destruction of evidence, to the inability to protect the crime scene, the transfer of Sandeep Ghosh, that too to another prestigious medical institution, the delay in filing of the FIR, who's to be blamed? Is it just the Arjikar medical authorities? Is it just the Kolkata police? Or is it the administration under the government of Mamata Banerjee?
Akanksha, 4 of the 5 points that you mentioned is something which the Supreme Court will hear and they have to conclude. You and me cannot conclude.
No, we
Secondly,
are not. My job, Dr. Panja, my job is to
it's difficult to discuss this, ma'am.
Yes, I'm raising the same.
You can raise questions, ma'am.
I'm raising the same very questions
we cannot
which
discuss
have been
this.
raised at the Supreme Court, Dr. Panja. I'm just doing my job, and I'm raising the same questions that have already been addressed by the Supreme Court.
No, these are the same questions if Supreme Court has asked. We have seen the last hearing and we've seen the printed whatever they have concluded on that day. We've seen all that, their observations as reflected in that day's summary of things, and that the hearing will be again on 5th of September, which is a long date that they had given. Chief Minister Shaturipadi was mentioning, I partially disagree with her because it's difficult to judge somebody's conduct and behavior, of so many government employees that they are. It's something which should come from us. Also, to take credit as a political parties, whichever, have no say in this because this is an investigation which CBI will do. Here is a crime which should not happen. It is a tragedy, and Kolkata police did some arrests, and the State Council will further submit whatever Kolkata police did, and of course reports of the vandalism of 14. This is what the CPI and the CBI has to submit, what is the status of the investigation. And also we want to tell our doctors who are protesting that Mamata Banerjee has stood by their cause. It is so unfortunate that her speech yesterday will be distorted in this fashion. There is no veiled threat. She is just requesting doctors if they could resume work, and that she is with the doctors and we are waiting for justice, and that this government is convening urgent
But Dr.
legislative
Panja,
session
I
on
understand.
Monday,
She's
coming
gone
Monday,
on record
Tuesday
to make
for
that
for the
clarification, Dr. Panja. She's made that clarification, but
You need-
nobody has
yes.
been able to put into perspective why Mamata Banerjee would say junior doctors' future will be ruined if FIRs are filed. They will not
no,
get
that
passport
is
and visa.
yes, because
why in fact pose
Now,
a
that's because,
situation
Supreme
where
Court-
an FIR may be lodged? My question is very simple. Why should
Akanksha,
FIRs be lodged
Akanksha,
against peacefully
my answer
protesting
is also
doctors?
very simple. No, because that has happened in Delhi. You see, Supreme Court has also requested the doctors to resume work in the last hearing that they had. And there are instances in various states where the doctors who have not yet resumed work, some kind of action has been taken. What she has just clarified is, I am not taking any action. Why don't you wait and see what she is going to do? She is with the cause. She is merely requesting, because health services are so very important, and when you look forward to the services health offered by the government hospitals, that's all. It should not be blown out of proportion, and not be distorted. As you said,
All right.
there should be no role of politics in this.
All right, Shatrupa, the BJP has clearly taken to social media and called it a veiled threat because it's accompanied with the term FIRs being lodged, passports and visas not, being provided if there are FIRs being lodged. Why is the BJP seeing this as a veiled threat?
Firstly, Akanksha, I wanted to thank you at the very beginning of the show for taking out the focus from what the Trinamool wants it to be, like, BJP is politicizing and BJP is out on the road vandalizing. Thank you for bringing the focus back on the actual situation. And while on that, I wanted to again remind you that this is a deliberate attempt to make sure that the girl is nowhere on the scene, so that the whole situation in fiasco in Arjika can be covered up. The Chief Minister is well aware of this. So therefore, she, apart from doing all that, the covering up that she's been doing, like removing Shandip Ghosh from there and not handing him over to the police, this is most significant. CBI came in much later. Shandip Ghosh should have been the first one to be questioned by the police. No, he was removed from there, planted in another equally prestigious hospital. Now, after so many days, she comes onto a students' forum and look at the totality of what she's saying. She says that BJP is trying to rock her seat and burn Bengal. No, we are not trying to rock anything, neither are we burning our motherland. No way, we are not doing all that. We are, contrary to what Shashidi thinks, we are the political party which has been chosen by 2 crore 30 lakh people to sit in opposition. So whether they like it or not, Trinamool will have to keep on hearing our shouts of opposition. Secondly, Chief Minister goes on record saying, and she said this in the public forum, that if Modi Babu, if you tell your people in West Bengal to rock my seat, I will go and rock your seat and burn Bengal. What? She's the Chief Minister of West Bengal. She should be used to these kind of threats. If she thinks they are threats, we are not threatening. We are constantly saying, resign, Mamata. We never said that we want to come. That is the people's decision, who they want to come into. Right.
All right. I see Dr. Panja wants to make a point. Dr. Panja,
let me finish the sentence. Okay. Just let me finish the sentence. Apart from that, she is not only given a veiled threat to doctors, what you have very correctly said, she has even got hold of the entire Northeast, that everything will burn, urging Hemanta Biswa Sharma, the Chief Minister of Assam, to say, how dare you, Didi? So this is not just BJP West Bengal. She is so insecure. The Chief Minister of West Bengal is so insecure. Having been in opposition for so many years, she should be knowing. She would have been, had the cards been opposite, had the cards been different, she would have been the first person to sit in
All right, you made your point, Dr. Panja. It's being called extremely unconstitutional when a sitting chief minister launches a threat like the national capital of the country will burn if the government in Bengal is toppled. And of course, as Shatrupa ji was also highlighting, that the threat has not just been launched against Delhi, but also various other states.
Akanksha, you too have limited time. Well, this is like BJP seeing the rope and imagining it to be a snake. You see, coming from a party, and I hope I can continue uninterrupted, inflammatory statements, provocative statements come from BJP. Remember who said, Goli maro, dash, 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 desh ke gaddaro ko? You remember, na? Keep bearing in mind, because history also tells you the identity and the character of a political party. What has Kolkata and Bengal witnessed over the past 2 days? We have seen a very violent kind of demonstration by the BJP. We have seen violent protests by them. This is a politically decimated party, BJP, decimated by the popular verdict of the people of Bengal. Now, this is what happens when they react and blow statements out of proportion. Didi has again clarified this. You have to understand, Bengal is a cosmopolitan place, cutting across all religions, all languages, all caste, creed, and people belonging to various states work here, stay here. So when they try to divide us, this would have an impact on the neighboring states too. That is what Didi is saying. You see, there is a concerted effort to marginalize Bengal and to penalize Bengal, to target Bengal. It is more than out in the open. Why do you think Didi won the verdict even in this 2024 elections, despite such a campaign, malicious campaign, nefarious campaign of the BJP?
Let's hear what Shatrupa has to say.
Appreciate
let's hear what Shatrupa has to say. Okay.
You know,
there are two, Akanksha, just one. There are two laws. There are two laws which are waiting to chase the violent demonstration of the BJP and all that fake leaders who said they were Chhatro and students. There is one law, West Bengal Maintenance of Public Order Act, which was passed in 2023. Another, West Bengal Prevention of Defacement of Property. This was also to punish all these people who have damaged public and individual property and have injured policemen on duty.
The questions are also being raised at the Trinamool Congress.
They will face the consequences.
Okay, so if you are saying that one of the BJP leaders, Priyanku Pandey's vehicle is being attacked, where his driver gets grievously injured, is he facing consequences? That too in the presence, when the ACP is present over there, one of the goons comes and attacks the car. Is this a consequence where somebody can even lose their life? Shatrupa ji, please go ahead.
Akanksha, I denounce violence of any kind, and again I want to reiterate that the student agitation was an agitation called by students. Like on the 14th, and the gathering was called by women, but everybody was there. So it is no point getting into the argument that how many students and how many not students. Nobody said that non-students can go. The only condition that the students had was whoever wants to come, don't bring your political flags. Nobody brought their political flag. Now, because Dr. Shashi Panja ji is very nicely elucidating number of leaders in the national forum who have gone violent, allow me to counter that with the likes of Udayan Guho and by the likes of Abhishek Banerjee himself. Few years back, when we were actually officially on the streets, Abhishek Banerjee went on record saying the police should have opened fire. I mean, this is the kind of violent state that we are living in West Bengal. Akanksha, you're well aware that right now police are sending out summons to who? To world-class heart surgeons like Dr. Kumar.
All right. I'm running short of time.
I will answer that. I can answer that.
Shatrupa, I'm running short of time.
Why are they being called? Because they incited violence. Because they incited violence, and they said there will be fire, there will be bullets. Last, they have said they want dead bodies. They want dead bodies for the agitation to be successful. BJP is on record. Their karyakartas have been picked up because of the provocation. You have provoked. You cannot backtrack. You cannot backtrack. You have provoked them. The situation has gone out of control. BJP provokes, incite and cannot control. It cannot be allowed. You cannot injure policemen. You cannot have violent demonstrations.
No, Shachiti.
This is
No matter
not
how
time
much
for
you shout,
justice.
I will keep
This is not
out-shouting
cry
you.
for
You have
justice.
the likes
You
of
cannot
Uday and
have- you
who's
cannot get
ruling North
justice
Bengal
for the
and who's
doctor who
threatening
died
every
through
single
these
person.
demonstrations.
He
This is
got
not
into
the path to
fisticuffs with the
justice.
sitting
This is
minister
the
there.
path to justice.
What are you talking?
Akansha,
You are
why
an
don't you
official
Dr. Panja,
personality
no,
who goes on
Shatrupati,
record
please
saying
calm
that
down.
Justice.
Please calm down. We
This
cannot
violent
conduct a
demonstration.
discussion
No.
if you're going to speak over each other. Dr. Panja, I have a question for the Women and Child Development Ministry as well, because the Union Minister of Women and Child Development Ministry,
Yes.
Annapurna Devi, has said that 123 fast court tracks, which also includes 20 POCSO courts themselves. All these schemes, when it comes to even the emergency helplines, are not being implemented. The centre has been pushing them, but it is the state which is declining this when the centre is even willing to bear the cost of these measures. I'd like your thoughts.
Akanksha, yes, Akanksha, we have fast track courts for women. Allow me to complete.
Yes, please.
We have POCSO for children's courts for the POCSO. We have Mahila Thanas. We are designated police officers are there who are going to look at these cases related to crimes against women in those thanas which are not Mahila Thanas. Akanksha, ask this question to the Union Minister, Honorable. Why your former predecessor, predecessor did not visit Manipur before asking other questions? Why they didn't go to Hathras? Why did they allow Brij Bhushan Saran Singh to continue as an MP? Ask the predecessor, the Women and Child Development Minister, who lost out in elections for her arrogance, why she didn't do all this. It's very easy to flag. How many faster we can continue this with numbers. I can also tell you NCRB had declared Kolkata to be the safest city for 3 years. So this is happening. Look at the rapes all over the country. Let's discuss that. Why is there a selective agenda to come and attack Bengal? Why don't the commission?
Dr. Panja, I'm very much going. No, Shatrupaji, I'm going to take that rebuttal from you. But Dr. Panja, my question remains unanswered because 123 fast track courts, that also includes these POCSO courts, they've been allocated, but they've not been implemented. So it's wrong to say that we have these courts, whereas they are waiting to be implemented.
No, this is wrong. That's wrong information.
So you're saying that the Union Minister is peddling wrong information. You're saying the Union Minister is peddling wrong information.
Yes, the children's court, POCSO courts are already there. Fast track courts for women are already there. What are you talking, man?
No, but they're saying that the centre has allocated.
But to say there's nothing out there.
No, but this
Come
is.
on, ma'am. The centre doesn't allocate our funds in time. You know more than that.
All right.
West Bengal is never allocated funds. There's always constant deprivation which we are fighting against.
All right, Shatrupaji, this has been the major charge coming in from the state governments, that whether it is the crumbling health infrastructure in all those states which are ruled by the opposition, the fact of the matter is that they are deprived of funds, and that is what is leading to this plight.
Akansha, firstly, funds crunch is something that Trinamool keeps crying hoarse about. But the finance minister has gone on record several times saying that maximum amount of funds are released to West Bengal. All central government is asking for is a UC, utilization certificate, which somehow these people cannot create out of their false documents. Now, as far as NCRB is concerned, I think by now the whole country knows that NCRB is dependent on the number of reports which go in. Now, here in West Bengal, most of the time, police are not even willing to take a rape FIR.
All right, Dr. Panja, I need to.
Number two, just Annapurna Devi's letter. Annapurna Devi did not write a proactive letter, and just because of, she has a lot of time to write to the Chief Minister of West Bengal, she didn't do that. The Chief Minister, out of her concern for against women's crimes, she wrote to the Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister forwarded the letter to Annapurna Devi, who is the minister in charge for Women and Children's Affairs. So she has written a very comprehensive note saying that these are the laws which are already given by the Parliament of India.
All right.
And these
All right,
are the
I'm going to-
measures that we have expected
Let's give
West Bengal government to
let's
do.
give
What
Dr.
is West
Panja
Bengal
the
government
time to explain. And Dr. Panja, I'm going to close with your thoughts. And before I do that, let's also make an appeal to the parents, the grieving parents of the victim. I have a reaction coming in from them. They've said that whatever Mamata Banerjee said yesterday saddened us. What does the family not want justice mean? The whole country is demanding justice for our daughter, and we want justice. How is this not possible? Well, whoever says whatever, we cannot explain our pain to anyone. Before we get into the politics of this and abstain from whataboutery, but let's also Dr. Panja, send out a message to the parents of the victim.
No, appreciate the grief that they are going through. We are all in this grief, and we hope we can gather their confidence in us. We are trying. We've tried our best, and we will. The fallacies or lapses should not have happened. But let's wait for Supreme Court to hear us out, hear everybody out, and really we are also asking justice and for early conclusion of the case, which is now in the hands of the CBI, and we are with the grieving parents.
All right. Many thanks to you, Dr. Panja and Shatrupaji, for joining in on Plain Speak. Thoroughly appreciate your insights. And with that, it's time to slip into a quick break. But after the break, we'll be talking about Jamaat-e-Islami, an outfit which was banned so far in Bangladesh, but that ban has been uplifted and by the interim government of Bangladesh. Remember, that ban had been imposed by the Sheikh Hasina government, has now been revoked by the new Bangladeshi government. Will this lead to a churn in the neighborhood? We'll be getting you a CNN News 18 exclusive interview, but after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Do you know what it
आदरणीय मुख्यमंत्री भूपेंद्र भाई पटेल साहब ने पूरे निर्देश दे दिए थे। उसकी वजह से आज हम 5000 से ज्यादा लोगों को हम उसके स्थलांतर करा दिया है और साथ में 1200 लोगों को उनको उसका रेस्क्यू भी किया गया है। तंत्र पूरी तरह से लगा हुआ है। हमारी प्रायोरिटी तंत्र की और सरकार की, क्योंकि विश्वामित्री नदी बड़ौदा के अंदर से गुजरती है और दोनों तरफ बीचों बीच से गुजरती है, तो दोनों तरफ ये पानी फैल गया है। करीबन 10-12 फीट से लेके 3-4 फुट तक 1.5-2.5 किलोमीटर तक ये पानी चला गया है।
Well, this breaking input is also pertinent to the intensifying situation in Gujarat, pertinent to the heavy rainfalls. Now, PM Modi has dialed to the Gujarat CM Bhupendra Patel and said that PM is all set to give guidance on matters including sanitation and public health in the flooded areas and to restore public life quickly, and once again assured all kind of support from the central government. So these are the latest inputs that we are tracking from the ground at this point of time, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stepped in, offering guidance and assurances of central support to mitigate the entire crisis. Now, joining us on the broadcast is our colleague from News 18 India, Deepika. A very good morning, Deepika. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। बाढ़ से कितने लोग अभी तक प्रभावित हुए हैं और नुकसान की क्या सीमा नापी जा रही है बाय द अथॉरिटीज ऑन द ग्राउंड?
बिल्कुल, खास तौर पे बड़ौदा की बात की जाए, द्वारका और जामनगर की बात की जाए, तो ये 3 जो जिले हैं वहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा बारिश की वजह से इम्पैक्टेड एरिया है। आपको ये बता दें कि खासतौर पे पीएम इस पूरे मामले में सीएम से जुड़े हुए हैं, लगातार फोन इन हो रहा है और ब्यूरोक्रेट से कई सारे अधिकारी हैं वो इस पूरे मामले में जुड़े कि जिस तरीके से नो कैजुअलिटी कैंपेन गुजरात सरकार का चल रहा है और इसी के बीच कई सारे लोगों को बचाया जा रहा है। एनडीआरएफ की टीम है लगातार पूरी रात मोरबी में भी थी, मोरबी में कई लगातार उन्होंने कई सारे लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया। ऑलमोस्ट अभी बात की जाए तो 5000 से भी ज्यादा लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया गया है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से जहाँ पे पानी भराव है, जल भराव है, वहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्टिव जो अगर गुजरात की बात की जाए 5 से 6 जिले हैं वो सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्टिव एरिया है। सबसे ज्यादा द्वारका की बात की जाए, द्वारका, जामनगर, मोरबी, राजकोट एंड बड़ौदा, ये 5 जो जगह है जहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा पानी की वजह से, जल भराव की वजह से कई सारे लोगों इफेक्टेड एरिया है और वहाँ पे गांव के लोग सबसे ज्यादा इफेक्टेड है। कई सारे लोगों के खेत है वो पानी में बह चुके हैं। पानी जहाँ पे खेत थे वहाँ पे जैसे कि सी फेज पूरा बन चुका है। उसके हिसाब से आर्मी को भी यहाँ पे बुलाया गया है। भूपेंद्र पटेल जो गुजरात के सीएम है वो लगातार इस पूरे मामले में पीएम से फोन से बातचीत करे। पीएम भी पूरे मामले में किस तरीके से नो कैजुअलिटी कैंपेन चल रहा है। तो
Welcome back. Now, Bangladesh's interim government has lifted the ban on the Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, paving the way for its return to active politics. The Sheikh Hasina government had cracked down on the Jamaat for being a terrorist organization and hanged or imprisoned many of its top leaders for war crimes committed during the 1971 Liberation War. The Jamaat was barred from contesting elections in 2013 on the ground that its charter violated Bangladesh's constitution by opposing secularism. On Wednesday, interim law affairs advisor Asif Nazrul said that the ban on the Jamaat was politically motivated and not based on ideology. And that brings us to the question that we are now posing today on Bangladesh lifting this ban on Jamaat. Is there a churn in the neighborhood? And for that, let me introduce our esteemed guest today. I'm joined in by Mr. Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir, who is the General Secretary of the BNP and former State Minister of Civil Aviation and Tourism of Bangladesh. Many thanks to you, Mr. Alamgir, for joining in. First of all, of course, how do you view Bangladesh's interim government's move of lifting this ban on Jamaat, an outfit accused of fomenting unrest and violence during the rioting that Bangladesh has witnessed in the days gone by?
Jamaat-e-Islami was a registered political party in our country, and it was banned by the government at the last moment when the student late uprising was at the top of its momentum. So that was not very fair at the time to ban a political party. In fact, the last regime, Hasina's regime, was totally anti-democratic, and it was allowed to eliminate the opposition from the country. And it is the depression on the students as well as the people for a long 15 years' time. It was unprecedented. So when the uprising was there, naturally, when they had to fly away from Bangladesh, the new government, interim government, then came and they thought that this will be better to cancel the order of banning the order on Jamaat-e-Islami. So I don't think that this order cancelling the ban was any illegal thing. It was totally because Bangladesh is a democratic country. Constitutional rights are there for anybody to form any party and do politics.
Mr. Alamgir, it's very interesting that you're saying that Sheikh Hasina government's move was anti-democratic, but does it not make Jamaat an anti-democratic party? Because many of the leaders have been hanged or jailed because they've been convicted of crimes against humanity, including abduction, killing and rape that were committed back in the 1971 war. Also, the reason why the party was banned is that it's an Islamic hardliner party. I'd like your thoughts.
It was a wrong narrative given to the media by the ruler, that's Awami League. In fact, Awami League didn't ban the party when they came into power, or the ICT verdicts were given against them. It banned the party only when there was a movement against the regime. So it was totally intentional that when the movement was on, they thought that they made Jamaat a scapegoat. So it was not the case, in fact. The main problem is Jamaat was a registered political party. It was a democratic political party. It participated in all the elections of our country. And there were representation of the Jamaat as well as in the parliament.
Mr. Alamgir, the uplifting of the ban on Jamaat is also being seen as a move that will attract and turn Jamaat-e-Islami into a BNP loyalist, because people disenchanted with the past government of Sheikh Hasina government will now become allies to the BNP. That also includes the Jamaat. Do you agree?
This is a total wrong narrative given by some media people, and especially the Indian media. Jamaat is not our loyal party. Jamaat's ideology and our ideology is completely different. In fact, Jamaat is acting against
Mr.
us
Alamgir,
this day.
it's
And they
not
have
just
already,
a wrong
the
narrative.
chief of Jamaat has very recently.
It's what's being
criticized
reported in
BNP.
all of international media, including India.
So I don't know whether any report like that. I haven't heard that UN has given such reports, because the allegations of any riot or any repression of the Hindus are totally baseless, and there was no such incident.
No, but
And the government and the other political parties are always protecting them.
Mr. Alamgir, it's not us, but the UN which has gone ahead with this report, which quotes various newspaper reports, and they have enlisted examples across 27 districts in Bangladesh which have reported violence, attacks on Hindus and their businesses. And this is a report that has been compiled by the United Nations, and we have Global Human Rights Defense also, which has joined hands with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. How can such a report be just simply labeled as baseless?
This is not true. This is baseless. Not at all. This report is not founded on facts. Because we are in Bangladesh, we have never heard about any riots between Hindus and Muslims. Yes, there were some political incidents that took place. Those were completely political, not at all communal. So there was no Hindu and Muslim riot in this country. In the recent past, we have never heard about it.
But sir, do you agree that there were attacks on Hindu households as well, even if you claim that they were not communal, but do you not agree that there were attacks on the Hindu minorities?
Don't agree with that. I have told you categorically that there were some political disturbances, not religious disturbances or communal disturbances. Why do you equate the political disturbances and the communal disturbances? I don't understand. Because it was never any communal problem happened. No riot happened in Bangladesh.
But Mr. Alamgir, the popular perception in India is that the India Out campaign in Bangladesh followed soon after the recent general election and is also an attempt by the opposition to further their own political prospects in the nation. Is that true, that there is an India Out campaign which has tasted support from the opposition in Bangladesh?
This is most unfortunate. And this is the problem, in fact, regarding the relationship between India and Bangladesh. Always a false narrative is given in the media. That is totally wrong. The media in India must understand that the people in Bangladesh, whether they are Hindus or Muslims, they remain as brothers. They are in harmony. And the relationship is always very, very good here. And you must understand that when there is a political unrest or some election happens in our countries like India, Bangladesh or Pakistan, there are some disturbances between the political parties, but not between communities.
Mr.
Not
Alamgir,
the Hindus and Muslims people or things like that. It never happens like that.
We are aware that there's a sentiment within the BNP which says that, there was an ecosystem of government, diplomats, bureaucrats, politicians and think tanks that created a bogeyman to mislead the Indian establishment into believing that Indo-Bangla relations would deteriorate without the Sheikh Hasina-led Awami League government. Now that the new interim government under Professor Yunus is very much in power, we know that elections are going to happen. What will be your message to the Indian dispensation?
To the Indian government, we would like to send our message that this is fact. And frankly speaking, the Indian government has failed to understand the feeling of the people of Bangladesh. And the narrative is this, that there is very good relationship between the Hindus and the Muslims and all the communities in Bangladesh. It never, riots or something, communal problems never happened. The Indian government authorities must understand that Sheikh Hasina is not liked by the people of this country. She's hated here, and our party is also not liked by the people in general. They were repressors. They don't believe in democracy. They believe in one-party system, and the repression on the opposition here was so immense
All right.
that thousands of people were killed during the movement. Thousands.
All right.
And that is the question of identity politics.
I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that. Many thanks to you, Mr. Alamgir, for joining in on Plain Speak and sharing in your precious views with us over here. And with that, let's now open the question if there's a churn in the neighborhood or not. And with that, let me introduce our esteemed guests today. I'm joined in by Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, who's a former secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs. I'm also joined in by Mr. Salauddin Shoaib Chaudhry, who's the editor of Blitz, which is a Bangladeshi newspaper. Mr. Chakrabarti, if I could begin with you, you heard what the BNP General Secretary had to say. Can this just be reduced to a mere narrative that's been woven by Indian media or the Indian government? What's appalling is the charge coming in that the Indian government has failed to understand the sentiment of the people of Bangladesh.
Well, I heard the Secretary General of the BNP, and they have built a narrative that whatever the attacks on the Hindus have taken place, it's political and not communal. He did not explain why the Hindu population of this part of the world, what is today Bangladesh, has reduced to 8% from what it was in 1947. Okay, I can understand that during the East Pakistan period, there was a concerted, state-driven communal riots to drive away the Hindus, ethnic cleansing. Pakistan did it in the West, but it doesn't explain why it has happened after 71. Now, he says there are no communal riots. I would say there have been small-scale riots, even during the time when the BNP came to power in 2001. I was there, and I know how the BNP cadres attacked Hindus. Now, he will say that was political, it was not communal, because the Hindus are well seen to be, voters and supporters of the Awami League. Now, that is the dilemma. I mean, whether you call it communal or political, he prefers to call it political because he will not admit that it was, and I know what happened then, and then the BNP had to step in and actually ensure that Durga Pujas were held across the country. And you had this strange sight of Jamaat-e leaders who were part of that government attending these pujas to show to everybody that they are being sort of not being communal, etc. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I am a little skeptical about these narratives because I go by hard facts, what I have seen and observations. I am not sure whether you can describe this as purely, political.
Right.
There is always a communal element in it.
Let me bring in Salauddin Shoaib Chaudhry. Mr. Chaudhry, as you rightly heard what Mr. Chakrabarti had to say, he's made a very valid point. What explains the reduction in the Hindu population, A? And if I were to just allude to the recent riots, Mr. Alamgir has completely denied that, saying that those riots had nothing to do with any sort of communal violence. So much so he even went on to deny the fact that Hindus were attacked. Whether or not that had communal dimensions to it, the fact of the matter remains that minorities have borne the brunt of this rioting. Would you agree or not?
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to fully agree with His Excellency Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti. If you have carefully heard the statement of the BNP Secretary General, first of all, he was trying to whitewash Jamaat-e-Islami's involvement against the war of independence of Bangladesh. And His Excellency Mr. Chakrabarti is aware that during 2001 and 2006, BNP was in a coalition government with Jamaat-e-Islami. And you see, the Secretary General of BNP has also tried to accuse Indian government and Indian media, what he's called, quote, false narrative. But what is false narrative? We are seeing this thing is happening with the Hindus, And it has been not happening now, it has been happening since 1971, and when BNP was in power, there was also attacks on Hindus. So if we call it a culture of denial, Now, I would like to remind you very kindly that when Mr. Yunus came to Bangladesh on the 6th of August, he openly proclaimed that there is a right of freedom of expression to everyone. But I can see from here in Dhaka, it's a culture of suppression. We journalists are afraid of telling the truth. I'm not afraid, of course, but I'm talking about the other journalists. They're afraid of talking the truth. Why? Because if you know that for the last few days, since this revolutionary government came in power, they call themselves revolutionary government, not interim. So as they came to power, there are hundreds of cases against the politicians, against the journalists. Even today, there is a case against 30 journalists with the International Crime Tribunal. So you are creating an atmosphere of horror like Iran, where you cannot speak the truth. And then you are expecting that the truth may be told. And now you're accusing the Indian media. What is their crime? They're telling the truth. And you see, the Secretary General was the way he was talking as if he's a spokesperson for Jamaat-e-Islami.
Right. Mr. Chakravarti,
also,
then going by the...
All right, sure. 1 second. And also, his body language was as if he is representing this government, meaning this government is BNP, pseudo BNP government in power, and pseudo BNP government accusing India, extremely anti-India, anti-Hindu government. I would like to firmly say, they may file a case against me next hour, doesn't matter, I don't care. But this is the truth. BNP is trying to whitewash what Jamaat has done during the 1971 War of Independence of this country. And I'm extremely shocked, extremely shocked.
Mr. Chakravarti, taking it forward from what Mr. Chaudhary has had to make a point very strong in his own condemnation as well. But do you not see now that this ban has been uplifted, the BNP has perhaps also won a potential ally in the days ahead?
Well, they have been allies. It is quite
in the past.
clear.
Because, why I say that, because today when I was, talking with politicians and spokespersons from the BNP, the sense that I was given was that ideologically they are very different, and even though they have been allies in the past, currently they do not stand on the same page. But is that also a kind of double speak that's emanating from the BNP?
Well, yes, because if you go back to history, it was General Ziaur Rahman who actually allowed the Jamaat to be resurrected. This was way back after the killing of and the assassination of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his family. So that is very clear. And they were all the Jamaati leaders who had escaped from Bangladesh were allowed to come back and reform and reorganize the Jamaat-e-Islami. Because, military dictators need support. They have to show that, we are also democratic. So as in Pakistan, it happened in Bangladesh that they joined hands with the Islamists, with the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the largest and the most well-organized group in Bangladesh. And we know their history of genocide against their own people, joining hands with the Pakistanis. So that is the background. We must remember this background. And I would like to also tell you that in Jamaat-e-Islami's ideology is of course different from that of the BNP, but the Jamaat-e-Islami believes in an Islamic state that is ruled by the Sharia. They also believe in Ghazwa-e-Hind. They want the original Jamaat-e-Islami founded in the late 19th century during British India, believed that India has to be reclaimed for Islam. That was their philosophy. That hasn't changed.
All right, Mr. Chaudhary, first of all, on that vehement denial which is coming in from the BNP in terms of the kind of mob fury that was directed towards the minorities, primarily Hindus, I'd like your thoughts on the UN report which has been doing the rounds. It's been compiled, as we all know, by the UN Economic and Social Affairs Department. Of course, it's tied up with the Global Human Rights Defense as well. It talks about all those Hindu households and businesses which were attacked over 27 districts in Bangladesh. what can the interim government do which goes beyond just verbal assurances? And first of all, is acknowledgement of such kind of violence not the first step towards it, instead of a BNP denying it outrightly?
You see, first of all, whether it is United Nations or European Union or whoever, when they are not ready to accept the reality, BNP, when they are not ready to accept the reality, they are denying. And we can fully understand that this government is actually under the quite influence of BNP. And when His Excellency Mr. Chakrabarti said there is a ideological difference between BNP and Jamaat, but BNP and Jamaat is same in one ideology, and that is anti-India.
Right.
Anti-India. And now, how can this government correct itself from what has happened to Hindu communities in my country? I would like to humbly say that is this government really capable or willing to do something on their own, or not being dictated by outsiders? This is a government, I can say, as I told you, they call themselves a revolutionary government, and we have listened, we have heard what the Secretary General of BNP said. It seems like they're running the government.
All right.
So
Mr. Chakrabarti, I'd like to give you time to share your closing thoughts. There's a lot of media brouhaha about how there's a bogeyman being created out of the current dispensation in Bangladesh, and how the Indian government should move forward in terms of maintaining that bilateral strength between Dhaka and New Delhi. I'd like your thoughts.
Well, the Indian government's policy has always been to work with whichever government is there in Dhaka. It is not our concern that, that there should be so and so or so and so. We work with all governments. And whatever happened during Prime Minister Hasina's tenure is not that we were not unwilling to work with her, or we worked with her because it was beneficial for both the countries.
All right.
What she did internally was not our concern, because we didn't want to poke our nose into what she was doing internally. The problem with Bangladesh is that they want us to interfere. Yet when we say anything, they will say, why are you interfering?
All right.
This is a mindset problem in Bangladesh.
All right, I'm going to have to wrap it with that. Many thanks to you, Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti and Mr. Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhary. It was a pleasure having you here on Plain Speak. And with that, it's a quick wrap. Thank you so much for watching. Up next is the Hard Facts with Rahul Shushakar.
बंदा कैजुअलिटी के हिसाब से नहीं कुछ होना चाहिए, उसके हिसाब से पीएम ने लगातार जो भी केंद्र से सहाय भेज रहे, तो वो भी सबसे बड़ी बात है।
जी दीपिका, हमें ये भी समझाने की कोशिश कीजिए कि लगातार सिंस गुजरात के सीएम भी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के मार्गदर्शन में और उनसे जुड़े हुए हैं, स्पेशली इन बाढ़ स्थितियों को लेकर, ऐसे कौन से विशिष्ट उपाय हैं जो ऑन ग्राउंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अभी कर रही है टू अवॉइड सर्टेन मोर सिचुएशन अनफोल्डिंग?
जैसे कल ही मैंने देखा एनडीआरएफ की जो टीम थी, उन्होंने टेक्नोलॉजी के हिसाब से कैसे करने का उसका ऐसा साधन बनाया है, अगर दूर 10 फुट भी कोई बाढ़ में है तो उसको खींचकर वो वापस ले आएगा। तो टेक्नोलॉजी के सहारे भी माना जा रहा है कि एनडीआरएफ की जो टीम है वो काम कर रही है। एनडीआरएफ के साथ ही साथ आर्मी की टीम भी यहाँ पे भेजी गई है केंद्र सरकार से कुछ मदद, हेल्थ और सैनिटाइजेशन की वजह से खासतौर यहाँ पे लोगों को मदद मिल रही है। कई सारे उद्योगपति हैं जो गुजरात से जुड़े हुए हैं, तो वो भी फूड वितरण जो होता है, तो वो फूड जो जहाँ पे इफेक्टेड एरिया है, जहाँ पे लोगों को रात को लाइट भी नहीं मिली है, खाना नहीं मिला है, तो इस एरिया में गुजरात सरकार और खास तौर पे केंद्र सरकार और यहाँ पे पीएम वैसे सीएम रह चुके हैं, तो वो चप्पा चप्पा जाता है, तो जानते हैं गुजरात का, और गुजरात के चप्पे चप्पे जानने के हिसाब से और गुजरात के उद्योगपति से कोऑर्डिनेशन भी है। तो लगा यहाँ पे जिस तरीके से इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट की भी मदद मिल रही है, लोग इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट जो है वो खासतौर पे जो इफेक्टेड एरिया है वहाँ पे फूड भेजने का, सहाय भेजने का काम कर रहे हैं।
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, now we are focusing on Gujarat, where rain-related incidents claimed 19 more lives in Gujarat, taking the death toll to 26 in 3 days. While around 17,800 people were evacuated from flood-affected areas as heavy showers lashed parts of the state for the fourth consecutive day on Wednesday. Districts in the Saurashtra region such as Devabhoomi, Dwarka, Jamnagar, Rajkot and Porbandar received heavy rainfall between 50 millimeters to 200 mm rains in the last 12-hour period ended at 6 p.m. Now, the IMD has predicted extremely heavy rains in the isolated parts of the districts in Saurashtra even today. Chief Minister has directed authorities on the ground to deploy clean